Here's something you need to hear. If you're driving for Uber, working a side gig, or doing whatever it takes to keep cash flowing while you build your consulting practice, you're not failing. You're investing in what you believe in. And sometimes that's exactly what it takes. My guest today, Rhoads, delivers groceries for Walmart while building a consulting practice that puts him at tables with business leaders he once idolized. And he'll tell you this isn't a sign of failure, this is commitment. My name is AJ Riedel. This is Thriving Through, the podcast where each week I have real conversations with seasoned, successful self employed consultants about what it really takes to build a sustainable, profitable, and fulfilling consulting practice. Tommy's journey from line cook to organizational consultant breaks every traditional consulting mode. He doesn't have the corporate pedigree or the MBA from a top tier school. What he had was a willingness to say yes to opportunities that didn't make sense on paper, a commitment to building genuine relationships instead of transactional networks, and eventually the discipline to say no and focus on his highest value work. If you're struggling with imposter syndrome, inconsistent income, or feeling like you're supposed to have it figured out already, this conversation is for you. Tommy gets brutally honest about managing self-doubt when working with high-level clients, maintaining cash flow during the building stage, and what trying to do this alone and why trying to do this alone is the hardest path you could possibly choose. We're going to talk about the difference between time and timing, how strategic partnerships eliminate feast or famine cycles, and why articulating what you're doing out loud might be the confidence boost you've been looking for. Let's get into it. Welcome to this episode of the Thriving Through podcast. Today, my guest is Tommy Rhoads. Tommy, have been looking forward to this interview for quite a while. Welcome.
Hey, Jamie, as well. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate the time.
Wonderful. Two questions. Actually, the new question that I've been starting out with, as the name of the podcast is called Thriving Through.
Mm.
What does thriving mean for you?
Oh, boy, that's loaded, isn't it? Well, there's all things that's a matter of perspective. So for me, I've spent a long time figuring out how to channel all of this energy that I've got possessed inside of here and how it's really meant for good. And I've spent my life in service, and most of the time it didn't feel like it because you're in the guts of it all. However, when you find that avenue that allows for you to do what you're passionate about, that skill set that you've created for yourself or that you've somehow brought along the way, for me, that creates an avenue of success unprecedented to anything else I could do for myself. It's in service of others. And so for me, what I love so much about the spaces that I've been able to and the fortunate to operate in is that it gave me the space to work with people, to see other people thrive. And for me, it's better together than it is alone. And I think we'll probably dabble in that conversation a little bit along the ways today. But what I will tell you is it's a scary world alone. And when I think about thriving and thriving through, when I think about those things, it's doing it in a journey together. So I'm so excited to be here to be able to share any of those lessons. But to me, that's really where I see thriving come through.
Wonderful. So, second question that I ask every podcast guest: what was your path to becoming a self-employed consultant?
Boy, oh boy, we don't have time for that journey, do we? It's been a long journey. I could spend the next 3 hours just trying to tell you about the crazy journeys I came through. But what I've really come to understand is that we really only have two things in this life. And my wonderful executive coach has always told me that we have time and timing. And so what I think about is so great about what's happened now is my journey is all of this time I've spent invested in developing tool sets, resources, networks, friendships, relationships, understanding the inner workings of jobs that you got to get in and do it. You roll up your sleeves, you get the scars, right? Those are the things that allow for you to come back in this and say, how did you come to this idea of where you want to go with that? And the truth of the matter is that folks need support. Folks need resources. You find that when you work within organizations, and I think you'll find this about myself. I've been a consultant, no matter if I've worked for an organization or if I was doing it independently. And I think that's really kind of what's so important is this skill set gives us an opportunity to really work with people, right? And help us down this journey. And for me, that was why I went down that path. I took up every little resource I could along the way. I learned any really obscure new skill set or trend that was out there. I had a vision board 15 years ago. This is no joke. 15 years ago that had something along the lines of, I need to get something called Lean Six Sigma certification. And I really need to figure out if I need to get a master's degree. And like, you need to figure out what I got to do, right? And it's interesting because laying those things out, as I go back and I look, it was all a part of the journey. So whether it was me running restaurants or as a line cook, because that's what I am by trade, I'm a line cook by trade. So as a line cook, you think of a line cook, and here I am today, and I'll talk to you about some of the really wild adventures I've been able to go on. But it was being open and willing to take on new journeys, to take on new tasks, to take on new capabilities. And frankly, and without any hesitation, I just said yes. And so saying yes really led me to a lot of success. Now I'm learning to say no, right? Because that's the important part of the journey is when you actually learn that I got to let the really reliable stuff through the door. But for me, it was about the journey. It was about taking each of these wild steps into new disciplines that I had no idea what I was leaning into most of the time. But it's paid off in spades on the long run because I was willing and open to saying yes. And that was really the journey that I've gone on is the journey of yes. And now it's a journey of discipline and structure and focus and discipline where it's focused on helping folks identify what their priority work is. And that's kind of what I love about doing it is because I can see all the chaos and then narrow it down.
I love it. I love the curiosity and the openness. You're
Yeah,
willing to say yes. How many of us, I have to admit that willingness to say yes doesn't always come easy for me.
yeah,
That I like my nice little comfort zone, and our brains like to keep us in our nice little comfort zone. So the fact that you have that what Carol Dweck calls that growth mindset, that curiosity,
yeah.
is you are able to not let your survivor brain run you.
That's correct. And it's in there because that monkey brain is in there. The monkey mind runs wild on me all the time. I still, even at 43 and all the things I've done, I still work on tightening up that headspace because it's so noisy nowadays, right? Like it's crazy noisy. So I kind of diverted a little bit away from there. Was there something you wanted me to answer specifically in there? I know that we talked about that. Is it something that's keeping me away from Survivor, or I just want to make sure I
No,
answer?
I was just complimenting you that
Oh,
you have
thank you.
you have kind of wrangled your survivor brain a little bit, kind of roped
Yeah.
it in a little bit, which is a skill. I mean, I went down, I took the positive intelligence mental fitness
Yep.
program
Yep.
for that very reason, because my survivor brain was running the show. And
Yep.
when your survivor brain is running the show, you're not really going to venture out into new stuff.
That's correct. And for me, I'll be honest with you, it was this willingness to just try and explore new things. I was introduced to that concept when I was very young, to be honest with you, and I didn't realize where it was ever going to pay out, or where it would play out for me. But really, what happened, I got asked to be in part. It was called Spectra. It was the advanced accelerated mind programs when we were kids, right? And so they pull you out of your normal standard classroom and they put you in a classroom where they basically said, "Okay, Tommy, what do you want to explore?" And
Ooh,
guess what? You get to go explore anything you want. And so, man, I loved that. That was like that. And I was 5 when that happened. So it was like, you want to dissect the shark? We'll get you the shark. Perfect. I want to dissect the shark, right? So I figured out how to dissect the shark at 7. The funny thing about it is, though, what that did for me in an adult space is unprecedented. What it did against me, though, was it taught me how to not be a normal student. So I have
oh,
had a very difficult churn through education. I memorized everything. So through the ninth grade, I aced everything. It was not right. It was okay. That's great. Then when it got to a point where you had to learn in a classroom setting about how to be an adult or how to be at that point as a child learner, and then leading into how to be an adult learner, I'll be honest with you, I was crippled. I was paralyzed. I didn't go back to school until I was almost 28, right, to get my bachelor's degree. And then I ended up getting my master's degree, and now I have a slew of alphabet behind me. But I went to college to play baseball. That was the only thing that I had driving me to go do that before. So I was not a student. I'm not an intellect. And most people hear this about me and they're like, oh, wait a minute. No way. No, I failed out of school. I failed out. I didn't graduate high school because my grades were so low. And it was because I was just at a point where it was a mess and I was living through things, and it is what it is, right? It's kind of what we've got. And I've got a hell of a journey that's brought me through this kind of stuff. But that ability to explore out on your own and then come back and say, this is what I want to do with it, that is an unprecedented amount of learning for someone at such a young age to get. But it has served me masterfully because AJ, let's be real. I have had roles thrown at me before where I was like, I don't even know what I'm going. Why would I even do this? This is terrifying. Right? And it's kind of the same thing when we talk about jumping into consulting, right? Doing
Hmm.
that big jump, that first big, my God, it's terrifying. And so the ability to learn and explore and go seek things out and bring back and put into place, that is a growth mentality for sure. And it is one of the things I'm most proud about in my professional and personal development has been my growth mindset because I've got lots of journeys down that path. I'm sure we could explore if you'd like to, because it does. It's landed me to where I am today. So I'm happy to talk about those even further if you want to.
Well, I want to go down. Your growth mindset has served you well recently because when we talked earlier, you mentioned that this is your third time running a consulting business,
Yep.
but this time you've formed an alliance with some incredibly experienced partners.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah.
So, what made you decide to take this collaborative approach instead of going solo again?
So it's interesting. So the ones that I did before, anytime I consulted, so I've consulted since I was 24, right? Side gigs just on the side running. So close to 20 years. I've been a independent side hustle kind of consultant where I've done those pieces. I've had it to where it was doing good on some years and it would just bring in a little extra income. Some years it would just be passive. And it's like, okay, it was there, but it was never the full tilt ready to go in. I knew when it was time and it was going to be the right time, I would feel it, I would sense it. I don't know what it would be. In between, moving from a job to this job, would it be I don't know, you meet the right people. Oh, and that AJ, that's really where it happens, is this network that has been created over the years. Like, so for the last, let's just call it decade, I've spent a lot of time really fostering strong relationships with people that I work with inside and outside of organizations. What that's led to was this journey, this step, in the completion of one work we just got done. Two of the folks that I worked directly with in that last organization, we've established a consulting alliance. And on top of that, we've brought in two additional partners with us as well that has done work with us in the past. So we really have created a joint effort. Now, we have folks who are, I'm happy to share who those folks are because they're just powerhouses of folks. And what they did was they opened up this idea around alliance and how creating a powerful network of people, like-minded thinking people, and frankly, diverse thinking people, which allow for us to create a greater offering. You can cover more spread. You find partnership opportunities for putting promotional efforts out. And the next thing you know, you have frankly, a guerrilla marketed, a grassroots efforted LinkedIn page, which is driving traffic. And we're doing things like having organic conversations and naturally finding new ways of doing and great channels and finding media like this to be able to be on. And it's really unique because what it does is while all of us are in that pool of looking and finding and sourcing and doing, we've created our own methodology for working together, our own process and workflow. We've standardized that. We have really significant partnerships with great tools and resources that are out there to be able to learn about the businesses we're going into, be able to objectively look at operations and objectively look at leaders and culture. And these are all things that because of the work, not only that we've just done independently, because we all represent different categoristic like focuses, sure, but what we've all done on a grand scale really puts a beautiful beautiful roadmap out there for us to be able to support folks looking to take a journey from where you are right now to that desired future state of where you want to go in a transformational effort, whether that's through operating models or process focus. It doesn't matter. Those are really the ideas that we have, but the ideas we have are fostered and anchored in execution, and we've done them. And I think that's really the power, and not just done them independently, right? We haven't done them independently, we have done them collectively. And now the tip of that spear, that is the collective force we have, is aimed out into the small to mid-range business. And we're like, the time is right, right? The timing couldn't be better for us. We have all of our eyes set on the right place. We all have the same goals, the same desires. And the truth that we told is impact to people is what we look to have. And that's why we focus on some of the entities that we have specialties in. Native American tribes. Oh my God, like how wonderful is the fact that we have this wildly deep understanding and knowledge base of working with Native American enterprises, taking, reliance on things like casinos and turning it into business opportunities with a diversified portfolio and mergers and acquisition practices and, all these beautiful capabilities. What a wonderful thing to be able to pay it all forward. And it's in service of that I feel like we've really found this alliance approach. And when we do that, it's why I can end up having, a large, heavy hitter team that's at my side. And I look, we can talk imposter syndrome all day long because you sit in a room with those four folks that I'm talking about, and it just through the roof. Like we can all sit there and have that conversation too, because I'm 43. Okay, happy to open that up. 43. When you talk age differences and you see that, for me, this is how I work. I've found the best out there. I find the people who do it best. And now I'm literally sitting in the precipice and in rooms and on calls with folks who I view in my mind as the best. And they are in a league of their own that I get to work with, and we get to go share those resources with other people. So for me, this alliance is so exciting. It's such a unique and fresh approach to trying to create this. It keeps our cost structures down. We are able to split and diversify and even create some roles and responsibilities to help us all while we're churning through that initial build of the stack up, which we all know is just daunting and it can drag on you. So it really gives us an opportunity to learn together in doing this, but really go out and help organizations learn about themselves and perform in a way that they could only dream of. So.
So you left a multi six-figure salary just 3 months ago to build this full time.
Yes, ma'am.
And you mentioned when we talked earlier that you're facing a 22K monthly gap and that you
Yes, ma'am.
freak out every day about it.
Yes, ma'am.
So walk us through that decision. What
Sure.
gave you the confidence to leave,
Mhm.
to make that leap, despite the financial stress that you knew would be
Sure.
coming?
Yep. Oh, sorry, my camera got adjusted. Pull this down up here.
Yeah.
Back up here. Come on. There we go. Come on. Okay. Yes. So it's like all things come to an end. We know that transformations come to an end, right? We put on a 5-year schedule. We knew that was going to come to the end at the end of that year. It was more about an understanding of knowing it was time to move. Great. Moving on from that part of it, though, and where we came in, I'll be honest with you. Had I not had the alliance and had we had not formulated this approach and really gone through our methodology and defined it, I would have probably not. I probably would have stepped back into the lane of, all right, you know what? Let's go find some additional, go find another piece. We'll go get another gig. We'll jump onto the next big piece. But I go back to time and timing, right? Listening to the universe, right? Intentionality, making sure that you journal and focus and you're studying your past, you're studying your current, you're studying, you're actually thinking about your future. For me, that was so much of where I'm at. And at some point or another, I have to make the decision definitively. I had to say to myself, will I ever have this opportunity again?
Mm.
Okay. I've got folks that are sitting here that are wanting to work alongside of me as partners who are decorated, who are so far decorated in the business world and are trying to do exactly what we're talking about doing right now for themselves because they know the impact that they're going to be able to have. When I look at that, that is what gave me the confidence And then the fact that I have a partner at home here, my wife, who is absolutely on board with this is where I was supposed to be, right? So I've got home, I've got partners that gives me confidence. If I didn't have that confidence or strength or foundation set underneath of me, there's absolutely no way I'm doing this. None. We've gotten really, 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 really creative with our finances. And that's because guess what? We got to figure it out. It's feast and famine time. It's what we have to do. And while we're doing that, trust me, we've refinanced cars. We've gone in and negotiated down on anything we could to get financial debt out of our way. We've tried to clear out any of that noise to create additional runway for us as we progress. Now, it's tough. It sucks. It makes me lose my hair, even though I don't have any anymore. It continues to do those pieces, but that's the name of the game, right? It's unfortunately the name of the game. For me right now, if I was giving advice or if I'm telling you what I'm learning as I'm going through this, it is that I keep my spouse updated in the appropriate amount of information delivery each time. Because I can get over the top and I can be really excited, and that can feel really overwhelming for the spouse. Spouse can feel nervous about it. The spouse can almost be like, "This is not how I'm supposed to live." It's unsettling. I don't know where money's coming from. How do we keep this? And that's a part of the journey. Now, she's done the consulting with me before, but this is a full that where I'm out there is and I'm betting on me. And I think that's actually part of it where I look at this. And if it was the timing of it all now, I feel like I could bet on myself in this time, in this moment, because I assessed my risks, I assessed my capabilities personally, and I really I focused on the gaps. And the gaps that I have, the alliance covered. And that alliance coverage and those gaps are also growth minded for me because I have the brightest group in the world. I mean, folks who, frankly, I want to elicit every ounce of knowledge from every time I talk to them. Like you should see, I said, I'm taking notes every time, right? I would start podcasting just so I can get it out of their brain and we can take and give it to the world. Like it's that kind of minds that I went and sought after in my career before I ever really did this. So if I had to tell you the one thing, it's finding those partners and it's being lockstep with your partner because the partnership is it is your ultimate business agreement, right? That is your ultimate
Mm-hmm.
business agreement. And I love my wife, so I don't want her to go anywhere. So let's just like she puts up with me, and that's not an easy thing. So let's just so do everything I can to keep her around is kind of my idea. So those are really the big things right now I've been focusing on to get that scared, that mentality of fear, because fear doesn't serve us in any of that place. For me, it's what I recognize every morning. I sense it, right? We did our breathing, we did our box breathing, right? And I can do it. That's where I can make sure I'm processing things out like that before I start my day. It is why my physical routine and my metaphysical routine is so important to me in the morning because it puts me in that headspace. So, yeah.
That's critically important. You mentioned that you are acting as the sort of chief marketing officer, the CMO for the Alliance,
Mm.
right?
Yes, ma'am. Yeah.
And you're building your LinkedIn presence, you're doing HubSpot integration, you're doing website development. What is your current approach to actually getting clients and starting conversations with potential buyers?
Sure. Yeah. So we've got quite a few of those. So if you don't mind, it might be a little bit of a longer answer. I think you're understanding. I give longer answers, so I apologize right now. But I'll walk through kind of some of the exploration we've gone to try to generate that business revenue. First thing we wanted to do is make sure that we found a target. And so we've targeted and put criteria in place for searches and identifying folks that we would want to go after that fit the criteria build. So we've put very specific criteria around the search parameters that we would look for businesses. I'll make this up, right? I won't give you our true criteria, but we look at things like revenue, CEO tenure, recent turnover of CEO tenure. Are they publicly traded? Are they privately owned? And are they owned by a capital management company? Where are those? So there are things that we ran through then you've got revenue size, you've got number of team members, you've got number of pieces. So we try to take a holistic view at it, not only just from the way of like the demographics of it, but also what are some of the operating model or operating decisions strategically they've made within the last few years. So we have a direct focus that's going out that path. We also have done some really unprecedented and really strong relationship building, but partnership establishments. So I'll give you two examples. We recently started a partnership and announced a partnership with Bentley Price Associates. Um, uh, Dennis Rizzo and his son Frank. They operate that out of Santa Barbara, California, Santa Barbara County, California, and they are a widely globally recognized hospitality executive recruitment firm. And so that partnership and establishment of that partnership means that as Dennis and Frank go to place top level executives, they offer additional services, which he can then say, hey, we have an alliance that we partner with called Strategy Elevation Alliance. And what they do is work in partnership with you when you get in to really help you land successfully. So can you imagine the power of placement of a CEO fostered by the transformational or strategic work that can be done on the backside of service offerings. So that's another one. Not to mention that Frank and Dennis have an outstanding presence on LinkedIn and everything they have in their network. So it is a wonderful, wonderful way for us to be able to get. And that's just one piece of it. We've gone down and we look back and tried to find endorsements from prior clients, which was not that was a no brainer for us. We've been able to get that. Our friends over at GoLean6Sigma.com. Carlo is the CEO out there. I've known Carlo for 10 years. I've used their platforms all the way back when I was at Ameristar St. Charles. Like we're talking long, long time ago. So pre-Choctaw Nation. So for me, this is an outstanding opportunity for me to be a reseller for them. But they've got outstanding tool sets. But that partnership, right? Again, now we go in. We've got these cadences and these repetitions, these tool sets that we have, and not to mention these are people who are putting that out. We've got case studies on the work that we've done with them. We've got the ability to be able to articulate and demonstrate what we've done. And so that way of really getting out and finding that, those are ways that we're generating that information through there. Additionally, we've taken out LinkedIn. We've taken on LinkedIn as a pretty driving hotspot for us. The one that we've seen the best of is the business page for Strategy Elevation Alliance. That's where we've got so John Elliott, who is one of our folks I'm going to discuss or talk to you about, and I've also introduced you to. John has been featured on a podcast, and we've got those linked onto that Strategy Elevation Alliance LinkedIn site. We've done the premium services, which allow for us to create the service pages, and then also get service requests. We're averaging about 7 service requests a week that are coming through that medium as well. Then, of course, it's the creation of all of the materials and the collateral and how you're doing that. Okay, let's just call it out there. I am not a graphic designer by trade. I'm pretty sure you could figure that out. But do you want to know what I am by trade? I'm creative and I can explore. And if you train me on how to do it. So Canva has been absolutely fantastic. And if we want to talk AI at some point, the AI application into our space of consulting worlds and how that stands to really, really level us all up. And it really needs to be seen as leveling up, not replacing. And none of the things that we can do, it's how you take what you do and then make what you do even tighter, better, more reformed, more refined, more elevated. And those are kind of the things that we're focused on with doing that as well. So we've got all of that. We've got post communications. We're trying to do, I'm building, when you mentioned, and thank you for mentioning the CRM development. And so some of the work, obviously, that I offer, I'm a customer experience and team member experience expert as well. Some of the things, not only process and transformations, I've done the team member and customer experience platforms as well. So for me, doing a CRM is really, really vital for us. So what I've actually done, I've been really kind of creative with my costing. If I told you the money that I've put out of pocket to develop the entire business, you'd freak out. You'd be like, no way. And I'm like, yeah, I really did. I've kept it under $700 to formulate and form everything that we've needed to do for all of this. And that's the wild part about finding the right subscriptions, leveraging AI, making sure that you understand there are things that can help you click through workflows, like create you true workflows so that if I ask it something crazy like, hey, if I have an M365 software subscription, I use you, Claude Pro, ChatGPT Pro, I've got this stack of technology that I use. I'm also looking to use Apollo IO. I'm looking to use HubSpot. I want to make sure that I have the linkages from LinkedIn, and that brings over to be able to pull this all together. And what's so wonderful is when you go through and actually lay that out with the tech stack, it can come back to you and say, I can walk you through step by step how to get that done, Tommy. So I can become a coder or I can become a developer. But that's what the power of us being able to do this. I can keep my cost structure down because, again, the earlier conversation was I don't mind going out and figuring out how to do something. And I'll turn around and try and do it because I'll build the capability. And you know me, I think the words that'll come out of here, I'll automate it. I'll figure out how to standardize it and then automate it for us. And then we actually have a capability and function that works for the strategy elevation line. So I'm building my website right? But I'm going to build an anchor page or a back page to it that's going to be where we use the CRM so that I can use HubSpot to creatively help fund or creatively help source clients for C. Like it's just kind of being creative in what you can do, leveraging. And these are workflows I wouldn't have just been thinking about unless I was in this position. I was in a feast or famine mode because it makes me get in it and get after it. That's it. There's nothing else to it. It's like, bro, wake up and get to work or it ain't gonna be no work, right? Like, so it's kind of this mentality of like, man, I gotta get up. I gotta get up every day. And I think everybody who'd be listening to this would know the challenge that there's that 5 or 6 a.m. alarm clock that goes off and it's like, I don't really have to get up today. I don't really need to do my yoga today. I don't really need to make sure I go and walk that dog today. I don't need that vitamin D from outside today. I don't need to write that down in my journal today. And those are all things that end up, I think, taking away from our clarity of being able to execute on those things. So anyway.
Yeah, it's funny. I feel I do the same kinds of things in the morning, and I find it's so funny that there are times when I'm laying in bed and it's like I don't wanna, but I really do because I know how good they make me feel and how important they are for
Yes.
me to be able to do what I do. So,
Yeah.
have to override the I don't wanna. It's so nice and cozy. I just want to roll over and go back to sleep.
Yep. Yep. Well, I'm a modern stoic in practice. It's kind of what I call myself. And that's because look, I've got all of this pulsing energy that comes out and it radiates and I've got to control it how I do it. And most people see stoicism as it is what it is and this is what it is. No, no. Stoicism, like so many things, like the let them theory, right? Have you heard that one from Mel Robbins? The
Mhm.
let them theory, very similar in stoicism. Actually, Mel and Ryan Holiday were on a podcast on the Daily Stoic podcast together, and it was awesome, like epically awesome. Because here's somebody who's saying, remember, let them be what they are. Don't give them the control. Don't give them the energy, the space. And what does Stoicism teach us? You control what you can control. And so much of what you're just talking about there is this idea of, look, I can get up today and I can make myself better. I don't really want to. It's really hard today, right? That's why I call myself a modern stoic in practice, because it may seem like you have it all, getting it together, and you're trying to get, and there's still those days you wake up and you're like, I want to sleep till 10 o'clock, man. Because why? Who's stopping me right now, right? It's that desire to that hunger, that feast or famine, frankly, right? You talk about the gaps. You talk about that's a big gap, right? That's not a small gap. And so
Mhm.
when you start to see those, that's why things start to feel better. You start to reassess your situation. You start to understand, okay, that may be where I've lived all along financially while I've been stacking up there. I'm just making small moderations so that I can learn how to get back to that. And I guarantee you on the backside of that, I'm going to be much more financially stable because we took a moment to almost reset. So it's like the timing couldn't be better on a fresh reset. I can feel myself starting to pull away from my prior self. I don't know if you guys have ever felt that before, or AJ, if you've ever felt that, like that pulling apart from yourself when you're like leveling up almost. Like
Mhm.
it's like whatever is not serving me is still just dragging on
Pulling
back
at you.
here, right? Like,
Yeah.
and I can feel it. So just again, yeah, I'm happy to talk about my journey because whatever, right? It's good for people to hear. I'm 43 years old and I'm this afternoon literally going to dial in and see about what I have to do for my ADHD. I've done all of the testing. I've done all of the. I mean, the guy looked at me. He was like, "Bro, whatever you've done, congratulations. You figured it out how to use it and be successful, and not let it hamper you." And I'm like, "Yeah, but it's hampering me now. Now it's pulling me aside, and I've got so much freedom and autonomy that the freedom and autonomy. How do I narrow everything I'm focused on?" And I'm sure everybody who's watching this understands that. You wake up in the morning and that LinkedIn ad catches your eye, and 6 hours later you wake up because you went down the YouTube channel or rabbit hole to figure out how you could do that. And then you're like, oh my God, I missed 6 emails, I missed this, I missed that, and oh my God, that was business opportunity. So that's kind of a lot of focus because it's nonstop. I've focused on my health. I've got my health in check. I focused on organization and structure. Okay, I've got those there. I feel focused. You get your finances. Okay, okay, we're almost there. And for me, this is kind of the last piece. And if I'm being honest, it's because my ego is still tied to all of it. Um, that's also the reason I think I can do this consultancy now is because I've stripped ego from my life.
Mhm.
Um, it's a very humbling feeling to do that. 17. I'm 17 years. Uh, I'm 17 years, 6 months sober, and Wow, right? So when you think about 17 years, 16 months or 6 months sober, and you really think through all of the clarity and how that focus has gotten here, boy, oh boy, what a journey, right? Like, and how it comes out on this side and versus how it started on that side is just simply not the same. So I just am I'm honored every day that I get to wake up and really focus in on what I'm getting to do here, which is supporting and helping people live through their goals and make that happen. I've realized that about myself is a really strange thing. I very rarely hold goals for myself. Generally
Hmm.
speaking, it's the goals of other people that are standing
Hmm.
way up here. It's why I've been an internal consultant. It's why I've been in all the organizations. It's always why I seemingly end up bored. It's always why I end up going and finding other roles, other positions, other things like, Dad, just give me that. Come on. Don't, come on, let's go. Like, put that over here. Let me do that part of it. Let me go work with them. Let me go invest time within them. And those are outside of the realm of my normal job. And you can see that was always just guiding me and leading me back to where I am right now. It's just talking to you, which man, I can't believe that I'm here. So this is the thing. I love being able to do this, and it puts a smile on my face when I wake up in the morning now, which is pretty incredible. So
I want to talk a little further. You shared that you're 17 years, 6 months sober. I
yeah,
am 13, 14. I kind of
amazing.
let's you kind of lose track. It's
You
like, how many
do.
years has it been? And you have daily practices,
Yes,
yoga,
ma'am.
meditation, journaling.
Yes, ma'am.
How has your recovery journey and those daily practices shaped the way you approach building this new alliance?
Thank you for that question. Thank you for and congratulations to you because it's no doubt it is a journey, isn't it? It's a long, hard road journey. So let's just start with this. My daily practices have been life-saving. So 6 years ago, I don't mind sharing this part of it as well. I got to my max end. Like people would be like, "Oh, you just literally hitting the gym," and I'm like, "No, I'm fat, bro. Just because I carry weight well doesn't mean that I'm not fat, let alone not like doing well." I had a lower back surgery. I had a discectomy and something else from a baseball injury 20 years ago. I've had 9 dislocated shoulders. I've broken every hand. I've over finger. I got all the ailments. But if you met me and you saw me and you looked at me, you would be like, no, there's nothing. And that's because 6 years ago, I think my max was 232. I was 232 pounds. I weigh 172 now. So you can go on a journey of 60 pounds, which is done through Peloton. And that was the kind of the Kickstarter for me. I got a Peloton and that was it. But the big practice was yoga. It's interesting because most people don't get it. When they get into it, they see it and they're like, you're just stretching all day long. Number one, they're like, is it really hard? And you're like, no, it's not hard at all. Come try it, please.
Yeah.
My 7 year old son, this is a great story. My 7 year old son, I was doing yoga and he came out and he's like, Dad, seems a little easy. I said, oh, it does, huh, tough guy? I said, I'll tell you what, I'm just going to put on 10 minutes of yoga. I want you to get a mat and you're going to sit right here next to me and we'll go do it together. He was ripping his shirt off. He's upside down. He's like, this is so hard. So oddly enough, kids started doing it. He just started doing yoga. I mean, and
Well,
he
how
loved it.
awesome is that?
Right? Like, here's the great part. He recently broke up with his girlfriend, his very first girlfriend, the whole little deal. Like, this is not that long ago. And he calls me, of course, upset. And he goes, hey, Dad. Yeah, bud. You okay? Yeah. Yes, sir. I'm good. Okay. Okay. What's wrong? He goes, I just wanted to tell you how I took this hit. So first of all, you call it taking a hit. All right, I guess I do have influence on you. Okay. So I said, what happened? He goes, well, I was really having kind of a hard time calming down. And he goes, you know what I did? I thought, what would my dad tell me to do right now? I said, oh, you did. He goes, and I just want you to know, I actually 100% believe. Oh, no. He says, it's not just low key. I don't just low key believe in meditation anymore. That's what he said to me. He says, I sat down, Dad, and I meditated for 10 minutes. And when I came out on the other side, I was like, I just need to let this pass and process it through. I went, I did,
Wow. You just got a report card.
yeah, right.
You
That's
just got
totally
an A in a course. The hardest part about being a parent is that we don't really get a report card until they're grown and they go out on their own and they're a healthy functioning member of society, but you just got a report card to get that played back. That wow, that gives me goosebumps. What a
Yeah,
cool story.
he's had some of the stories I've had with that boy are just unprecedented. And look, again, I will add to the vulnerability conversation here. When I moved to the Choctaw Nation, um, for the executive director role down there, I moved from St. Louis, Missouri, where Thomas was with us 50% of the time. And then I moved, and he has to come to us. Now, you would say, "Oh my God, that's crazy." This is one of the other levels of commitment that no matter what the job journey or whatever it is brought, I'm his dad. So Thomas flies to us every month, no matter where we've lived for the last 8 years. He's got over 300 flights logged during that time. The report card for me, another one, did you mention that's why I say this, is because people get off the plane and talk about him. I mean, it's just, and it's been like that since he was 8 years old. Like he would get off the plane and people are like, "Is it your kid?" Like, yeah. And they're like, "He's amazing. He kid just sat on that plane for 2 hours, flew here, got off and walked right to, like he knew, but it taught him independence. And it's, so again, one of the things that is difficult, I know we all have this hard ask on us of time and commitment. Look, I moved away. And it was not because I wanted to leave him. Trust me, it was the hardest thing I ever did. But what it has forced me to do is be the best possible parent that I can be in the midst of even all of this chaos that I've done. We talk on FaceTime 3 nights a week, and we've never not. We've always done that since he was like 3. My wife and I talk to him every Tuesday, Thursday, Sunday. It switched recently just because the kid's busy now. He's got like track and cross country and marching band and all in the same time and all the so whatever. But the power is he's there being this independent kid, and he lights our world up because we had to figure it out. And we, as a parent, in doing all of this, I mean, can you imagine how scary it is as well right now? Like we fund the kid for so many different things on top of it all. Like he's at risk with this as well. So trust me, the pressure and stress that stacks up with these practices of daily practices, which even include my son, and the way of being able to do that. We have a group chat. We make sure that we touch points every day. When we get on FaceTime, we talk through everything: relationships, school, reading, what's going on with homework, how are we doing with testing. Like we do the things all the time. And then when it comes to us, we create experiences, we go places, we do all this. But this kid is again, it's one of those things about committing to daily habits. So I'll go back to it again now to finish it, which is the daily
Mhm.
habits of doing things like yoga, doing things like for a physical way in the presence of doing that meditation, because it at least allows for you to see and think about that monkey mind while it's happening. And you can see it, you can have it, it can help. And you may not even understand what's going on with it, but it's helped me define that. Journaling has allowed for me to start to study it about what I'm doing, how I'm logging hours in my day, how I'm capturing what I'm spending my time on, what I'm not spending my time on, more importantly, right? That's the gap. Then I've got a growth model. Now I can say, okay, what am I focused on? Perfect example. I need to be more coaching in my forward, moments with people. And like when I'm sitting in those pieces, I don't want to be as right, like giving answers. I want to be more about come to me with this, right? So I'm focusing on the coaching habits and things like that. Like it's just exploring out where I know it's there. And these tools have given me the ability to assess myself into that growth model and mentality, and then just go find the things that are out there when I have the time to work on them. And that's really kind of how I've always filled in my blanks, because I've had a ton of blanks. Line cook. Line cook. Failed out of college. Law. I mean, like, come on, man. Like everything was gone. Like it was just there. And the way that I got in it was somebody asked me to sell them a Coke. So I sold them a Coke and I started serving tables. Next thing you know. So that's kind of how they've served me throughout the days. I'll be honest with you, every single day of building habits is another daunting struggle for all of us. It's that motivation of doing it. I think really what it is don't be mad at yourself when you're doing the things. And that's the biggest lesson I've learned from all of these different habits of creating these daily routines. Because I mean, I have a daily map that shows me I'm here, 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 here. And that's just to help me keep focused. If I miss, it kind of throws me off. So how am I gentle with myself? How am I learning about that? And that's really where I've used those tools to kind of help me. Now, if you bring it into the alliance, that tool set that I have and what I'm able to provide also because I'm learning in gapped areas. All of the people that I'm working with, we've all been with either in corporations or in big jobs or big consulting gigs for the last 5 years. There's a whole new platform sitting out here. There's a lot of education, and all four of my partners, no, three of my four other partners are boomers. And so we have a technology component to this as well, which is allowing for me these daily practices of how I'm kind of keeping myself in tune and keeping myself focused helps me to not overwhelm folks who I get to talk to about some of these pieces, which could be very, very, very easily overwhelming. But it's making us build an even better alliance, some of our marketing efforts and some of the things that we're trying to do because we're leveraging these technology platforms. And that's kind of how I'm using all of those builds and how I'm kind of advancing. And then, of course, then I don't know how to get over imposter syndrome of working with some of these folks. You see the name John Elliott, Terry Hill, Leonardo Inghilleri, and Kathy Allen, and I go, man, those are just my friends, right? But to other people, those are good. Those are good
You
names. So,
you are their equals.
well, I am
In the
honored that you say
alliance
that.
you are.
In the
In the
alliance,
alliance you
yes,
are.
yes,
And
ma'am.
that so that it's funny that you bring up the imposter syndrome, sitting at the table with partners who are are 18 to 25 years older and have built multi-million dollar businesses. What do you how have you how do you combat that imposter syndrome when it hits you? And it sounds like imposter syndrome never really goes away. So
No.
how do you handle that? I mean, you're playing in a really big pond now
Mhm.
with these really big hitters.
Yep.
So how do you manage the times when that voice in your head says you're not worthy? You shouldn't be
So
in this group.
listen, it's there's a couple things that have happened along the way that have always been like this. So two things. I've been fortunate enough to work in organizations where I've had executive coaching. Okay. So first hands down, like I have a very, very, very I've had a very fortunate journey. I've had an executive coach since I was 34 years old. So it's a very and she's wonderful. And it's been the same one. How about that? I've had the same
Wow.
executive coach for almost 10 years. I'm talking to her Wednesday afternoon. Hi, Fran. Yeah. So we're meeting like just, but and again, it's one of those things where I have, let me tell you how I've used it. And this is a recent conversation. So I'm sorry, I'm kind of jumping, but this one is a very targeted conversation. My wife and I recently were talking about this. And I said, it's just so strange because I almost use my wife as the sniff test, as the BS test. The Tommy
Mhm.
BS test. How's that? All right. So it's almost as if I've been very fortunate to receive accolades. I've been very fortunate to receive praise from people on things. And if you've talked to these other folks, they will say very, very nice things. And I love them for that. Uh, my wife has kind of been my check, if I'm being honest with you, because sometimes I'll say I'll tell her about the story, and then I'll turn around and be like, "Can you kind of believe that?" And she was like, well, yeah, it's you. And I'm like, no, 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 woman, listen to me. That's not what I'm talking about. Like, no, listen. Like they're saying these good things, and I don't really see that. And she's like, Tommy, these people are not going to bring you down this path. They are not going to sit at tables with you. They're not going to put your name on everything that is you all. They're not going to put somebody at the table they don't want. And you know those people. And I said, I know. It's funny because I've gone almost from going from the kid looking up and idolizing everybody, and they're the kind of people that I've idolized always. John Terry and Leonardo, like I just, oh my God, like I just like as a business kid, like that's just what I've always been. And so I studied people like them. I've watched, and now I'm sitting here at tables with them. And it's really, really difficult to think that I deserve to be here. And more, though, because what I do lands with what they're trying to execute. And I'm capable of really doing those things and loving to be in that circle with them. I think that is what helps me get past it. But my wife being that sniff test is really what it is. I'm all because I'm almost to the point of like, okay, I belong here. I belong here. And then there's days and I'm like, I don't know. I don't know that this is right. I can't. And then this is my wife. Get back over there. What's wrong with you?
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
that battle. And so what I giggle, RuPaul calls it your inner saboteur, right? And she says if they're not paying your bills, don't pay them no mind, right? Like, and it's kind of that idea. We go back to Stoicism, we go back to any of these let them theories. It is about this idea that we cannot give that sinister brain of ours any energy that says you can't do this. Because I got to be honest with you, I don't have time to be able to sit here and fight with you can't do this. I got to go make
Yeah.
money. I got to make
Yeah.
money. I got to put food on the table. We're hungry. Not we. I mean, like the people are hungry that are out there doing this. And these are people that are not looking for five, this is 6 and 7
This big
digits.
stuff.
This is big
Yeah.
stuff. And this is where,
Right.
again, you focus on it, and I will tell you the big stuff. Yes, we're going for it, and it's going to be there. But I am in such a place that I have to drive. I drive for Walmart locally here, delivering groceries, so that I can have cash to keep cash coming, not coming out of our savings account. And the reason that is because I believe in what we're doing. I would not be running around driving cars, delivering groceries if I didn't believe in this. So that helps me check the imposter syndrome as well, is kind of that reality and gut check of Thomas, you're doing this. You're clearly doing this because this is what you think is right. This is where you see it's right. The time and timing is speaking to you. And it is because that time and timing conversation, every time I say the words out loud to other people, when I talk about what I'm doing, they all go, holy cow, Tommy. And I go, oh, I hadn't seen it that way before because I was in the forest. I think
Right.
that's a lot of what we see is it's in the forest and you can't see through it. And sometimes, like I tell everybody else, if you're doing something great, it's your responsibility to tell people. And if that's the case and you've got something strong that's happening and you need to be able to articulate, talk about it because that gives you the confidence and the strength of what you're trying to say and say. And frankly, people see you doing those things and they feel that relational build, which I've expressed to you. Relationships are my jam. If I don't have the relationships, we don't have business. If I don't have the relationships inside, don't have success or movement or traction. We don't have transformation. So that's where.
Yep. Relationships.
Mm,
Absolutely.
mm,
Well, we are at the end of our time for the podcast, but I have one really, really important question.
please.
How can listeners, excuse me, connect with you if they want to learn more about you and your work in the Alliance?
Please, it'd be you can just search my name through LinkedIn and grab to me, and then on there you'll see a link over to Strategy Elevation Alliance. I've got one for my small company, but this is far less about my small company. My company is really in service of making this stand up on the Alliance. I have other things and offerings. I can do fractional chief officer roles for almost any capacity, the ability to be able to do that as well as a service offering for me. But the big one with the Strategy Elevation Alliance, which is really out there to help support this crew, which is where we'll drive the primary. It'll be through LinkedIn and it's Strategy Elevation Alliance. And if you search that inside of LinkedIn as well, it'll go there. That's our main page. We've got service requests portal through there as well. If you'd like to learn more about it, you can be able to go right through there and see it. And you'll see on the side
Terrific.
of there, you'll see everybody that's associated with it as well. You have John Elliott, you have Terry Hill, you'll have Leonardo Inghilleri, and you'll have Kathy Allen. So all of my principal partners at the Alliance as well are in there too. So
Fantastic. Well, it has been wonderful speaking with you today.
my
Thank
pleasure.
you so much for being on the podcast.
My
And
pleasure.
for all of you who are listening, until next time, keep thriving through. Tommy's story reminds us that there's no single path to building a successful consulting practice. And more importantly, that success doesn't mean you've got it all figured out. Even when you're sitting at tables with people you once idolized, imposter syndrome can show up. Even when you're doing work that matters, cash flow can be tight. Here's what I hope you're taking away from this conversation. You don't have to do it alone. Tommy's entire philosophy centers on relationships and strategic partnerships. And there's a reason for that. Isolated consultants struggle. When you build genuine relationships instead of transactional networks, you create opportunities that wouldn't exist otherwise. And if you're in that building phase right now, doing whatever it takes to keep cash flowing while you invest in your vision, you're exactly where you need to be. It's not failure, it's commitment. It's believing in yourself enough to keep going even when the path isn't easy. So, whether you're learning to say yes to unexpected opportunities or you're learning to say no and focus on your priority work, remember that both are essential phases of building something that works. If you want to connect with Tommy or learn more about Strategy Elevation Alliance, head over to LinkedIn and search his name. You'll find all the links you need there and in the show notes on my website. Until next time, keep thriving through.